Good morning, everyone. It's Belinda Weaver here from Copyright Matters, and I'm going to be talking to you for just a little while about onboarding, specifically the Lazy Copywriter's Guide to Unforgettable Onboarding Experiences. So, my dog's down here as well. If you are tuning in live, I would love it if you said hello to me. This is going live to my Facebook group for the love of copy and to my Facebook page. If you are watching the replay, drop #replay into the comments, and so I know that you're catching up. Now, the reason I want to talk about onboarding is that what often happens is that we put so much effort into getting clients. We're doing regular marketing. We're following up with leads that said no. We're following up with leads that said maybe. We're following up with old clients. Top tips for lead gen, by the way. And when we actually land the project, it's easy to go, oh, cool. Now I can get on with the business of writing. But this is actually possibly the most important part of your project. The onboarding is where you get the opportunity to set the scene, be the lead on your own project, and really impress your clients. So if you're watching live, say g'day. And if you have any questions as I'm going through this, do let me know. And if you're watching the replay, #replay. So when you are welcoming a client into your project flow, this is where you want to make sure that they feel safe, they feel like they are in good hands, and that you have the con. As we would say in Star Trek, you have the con, because more often than not, clients have never worked with a copywriter before. They don't know what's supposed to happen and what's going to happen. Even if you have the process on your website, even if you've explained your process on a discovery call, you need to make sure that your clients know exactly what's going to happen and when. This is a really, really, really important part of your onboarding process, because the strongest influence on whether or not your client feels satisfied, simply satisfied at the end of the copywriting project, will be what their expectations of the project were. So if they expect A and you deliver B, even if B is better than A, there is a mismatch, a misalignment of expectations. And that's when clients start to feel dissatisfied. So the first thing you want to do in your onboarding process is make sure your client knows exactly what's going to happen and when. Okay, so I've got my notes here. When you do this well, when you do the onboarding and when you do the project flow well as a copywriter, your client will have mentally approved the copy before they've even read it, because the project flow will be smooth. The whole experience will feel easy, and you have empowered them with information so they never feel uncertain about what happens next. This is the point of a good onboarding process. Now, we're going to get into the logistics of the onboarding, but what I also want to reinforce with you is that when you do this well, when you systemize how you welcome clients onto a copywriting project, you have enough brain space to then delight them, to think about some lovely little extras that will elevate the whole experience. And what I want you to think of as well is how you feel at the beginning of things, how you feel, my dog snoring, how you feel, especially when you've handed over quite a bit of cash and you're feeling a bit uncertain. You want certainty, and you also want to feel valued, like you're the only client on the books, even though you know that you're not. And you also want little sparks of delight and joy, so that you enjoy this process of handing cash over and having a whole bunch of admin to do. So if you want that, that's exactly what your clients want as well. So I've mentioned it a few times, but I want you to make sure that you have your copywriting process, the process of your project, in a few different places. You should absolutely have it on your website. You should absolutely outline it either on discovery calls with clients where you're chatting about the scope, or in emails with your clients, okay? Then you also want to make sure your process, your whole project process, is covered on your kickoff call or kickoff email. And here's a bonus: in every time you meet a project milestone. Okay, so I'm going to go through those in a little bit more detail, but I want you to know that just explaining your process once and just explaining it in one spot is not enough. You need to be constantly reassuring and communicating your process to your client, because they will keep hearing more and more information. And it doesn't need to be every single step you follow. It could be, here are the 5 major steps in every copywriting project. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, when someone has told you the scope, you've given them a proposal, which should also have your process in it, they've said yes, then you issue them with a 50% invoice. Now, some people call it a deposit. A term that I heard a little while ago in the Freelance Jungle Facebook group in Australia is a commencement invoice, which I think is the perfect phrase, because 50% locks the project in your books and actually gets things started. Now, your onboarding process starts with that invoice. So you want people to feel really excited about that moment. That means you're not just busting out an invoice. You want some language around it to say, I am super pumped that we are getting started. Now, some admin to get out of the way. This invoice locks your project in my schedule and we can get started. But create some excitement around that process of being locked into the books and make your client feel special. Once that invoice is paid, then we start getting into the nitty-gritty. Now, even if you have a wait list, or whether or not you have a wait list and you can't get started for a couple of weeks, or you can actually get started straight away, you can actually get your client doing a lot of the admin that you need to write the copy. But first, you need to have this scene setting email. Now, it's usually a kickoff call or a kickoff email, and it's like the official welcome to the project. For each project, think about it like a little launch. You want to welcome people in. You want to make sure they know they made an excellent decision. And you also want to let them know what happens next. So on your kickoff call or your kickoff email, this is what you want to do. You want to go through the process again. You also want to let them know which documents they need to fill out and by when. You want to let them know which things you're going to do and by when. And you also want to let your clients know how long things are going to take, right? Because I have often opened a briefing email, and I'm a copywriter, so I know how detailed briefing questionnaires can be. I've often opened them and gone, oh shit, this is going to take me a lot longer than I expected. So always be putting yourself in your client's shoes. What is helpful for you as a client is to know that the briefing questionnaire is detailed. It will take 60 to 90 minutes. So grab a cuppa, sit down and go through it at your leisure. And it will need to be completed by date. Perfect. I know what's expected of me as the client. I know how long it's going to take, and I would know when I need to get it done by. This is the perfect example of making the process easy, making your clients feel like you've got it, and letting them know what to expect. And in that kickoff email, you also want to outline what you will be doing as the copywriter and when you will do it. You want to make sure they know when you're having phone calls or when it's just a form to fill out, when the first draft will be due, and how long they have for revisions. This, although it can be kind of overwhelming, so it's up to you as a copywriter to make it feel easy and fun to read, this is information your client needs to know on how the rest of the project will operate. And there's a lot of admin at the start. So you can also let them know, once I actually get started, you don't need to do anything more for a little while. This is just our deeply collaborative start of the project. But if you don't want your clients to feel overwhelmed and that the whole process is out of control before it's begun, let them know what's going to happen. Let them know what they need to do, how long it's going to take and when it's due. Let them know what you will be doing and when that's going to be happening. Okay, so always give your clients a roadmap. This is a cornerstone of your onboarding that will just chill the client out from the get-go. So as your project starts going through, like you've done the briefing questionnaire, fantastic. The next step now is, so each time part of the project is complete, you want to remind your client what the next step in the workflow is, in the roadmap, the workflow, the checklist, okay? And you always want to be reminding them of that next step. Now, one of the things you can do, especially as you're working through your own checklist, you're handing over versions and things like that, excuse me, choke quietly. Oh, dog. What you can also do is at the bottom of your emails, remind people, your clients, where they are in the project flow and what's going on next. Wait. Get the bag in, Auntie. All right. For those of you with pets at home, you know how that works. So I just want to recap on that. So when you reach a project milestone, remind your client what's been done and what is happening next. This gives your clients not only a sense of what they need to do, but where they are in the project flow. And most importantly, that you're busy working in the background. Because when copy takes a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to write, your client can be left wondering, what's actually happening? Has she forgotten about me? Is she still working? And so these kind of regular communications of this is what's happening now, this is what I'm doing, this is what happens next, this is when you can expect to hear from me, always de-escalates any feelings of anxiety. That's what your process flow should always be doing for clients. And it starts with the onboarding of this is how everything will work. This is the information you need. Here are the expectations set. And that becomes the benchmark by which they rate their experience as average, awesome, or subpar. It's all in the expectations that you set when you are onboarding clients. So there are the pieces. We've got a kickoff call or a kickoff email. You probably want to do both because then people have the project plan written down as well as getting it talked through and the opportunity to ask any questions. You want updates as the project progresses with milestone updates and recognition of what they've done with communication about what's about to come up. And we want to have project flow reminders as well in every email conversation that's happening. This is what has happened. This is what we've already done. This is what's happening now. And this is what's coming up. Now, when you do all those things, I want to make sure that you have all these steps written down, because you should not have to remember where you're up to in the project, which step has happened, and which steps have to happen. In my Confident Copywriting group, I actually have a complete project checklist with onboarding, writing, and the wrap up of the project with every single step outlined and links to email templates as well. So that's what you get as a confident copywriter, but I encourage you to do that as well. Do not try and remember every step of your process. Write it down in a checklist. Then make sure those emails that you're sending regularly, the onboarding emails, the kickoff emails, the questionnaire emails, the here's your first draft, isn't it exciting emails, have those as templates because you're sending the same things over and over again. And here's the point of having checklists and templates. This means that you can offer a repeatably awesome experience for your clients without going insane trying to remember it all. But that also goes back to something I said in the beginning. When you are not trying to remember and think about all the things, you have time and brain space to think about maybe some little gifts. Maybe a little welcome video that you give to them personally to demonstrate that excitement. Okay, so these are the things that will elevate the whole experience of being welcomed onto a project. And again, I want you to think of each of your copywriting projects as almost a little launch. right? People are giving you money and you want them to feel absolutely amazing about that investment from the first moment they make the decision. And so that's having a repeatable onboarding process that empowers them with information, but also having little sparks of delight. And as I said, that could be a little gift you send all your clients, or it could be something like a Bonjoro personal video that you send to them. But if you're trying to remember all the things, you will not think about how to delight your clients. And I see some questions coming in, which is awesome. But I just want to reiterate something that I said at the beginning. If you do this well, if you onboard your clients with information, process flow, and excitement, okay, your clients will almost mentally approve the copy before they've even seen it. And I know this because I worked with a copywriter who had such a thorough, comprehensive, and delightful onboarding experience. I knew what was going to happen when. I knew what I had to do. I knew what she had to do. I knew when everything was supposed to happen, that I hadn't even got the copy and I was already super satisfied with the whole experience. So I just want to let that sink in. All this stuff is boring admin, but you're a copywriter. You can make it engaging and fun. You can infuse it with delight and excitement, and you can make sure your client never wonders what the hell is going on. That is what a good onboarding experience should be, an unforgettable onboarding experience. All right, so I've got a question here. Should we send the kickoff email ahead of our kickoff call or after? I just want to see. Hey, Masha. I just wanted to see who that was. So I think, I just want to reiterate that you don't have to have a kickoff call. If you're just beginning and it makes you a bit nervous, have a kickoff email. It does the same thing. As you get more confident and you have a kickoff call, it helps you build rapport with your clients. So it's a good idea. Now, what I think is a reasonable workflow around call versus email is to have the call first, go through the information and say, the second we finish this call, I'm going to send you an email with all this information in it again. So don't worry, you don't have to remember it. Now, I like to do that. It doesn't really matter because they can read through the email and then you talk it through and they have some opportunity to ask some questions. It's not going to make or break your onboarding process, regardless of which way you do it. But what you want to do is want to make sure your client knows what's going to happen and has everything in writing as well. Because I don't know about you, but when I've had calls with people, I'm often concentrating on looking like I'm listening, the dog, the kid's not busting in, and I am listening, but I'm not necessarily absorbing all the information. So knowing that it's coming to me in an email as well kind of helps me listen a bit better because I know I'm going to have it to refer back to as well. And Tracy, I see this is you. I'm going over to the Facebook group here. Tracy Biller says, after, I would say, as a confirmation of discussion. Yeah, absolutely. But this is one of those things that as long as they get it, it kind of doesn't matter when. So test it out. See what works for you and your clients as well. Oh, hang on. Cassie. Hi. I know, right? Thank you very much for noticing. All right, so I know we've got a couple of people here who are in my Confident Copywriting group, and we are going to dig into this in a lot more detail. Yay! But that's what the complete project checklist helps you do. Details every single step. The emails are there. Those kickoff email templates and project flow email templates, they're all there for you guys. So you've got that. But for everyone else tuning in, I encourage you to sit down and write every step of your process from the minute a client says, let's do it, until when you finish the project and you're following up to get a testimonial and stuff like that. Because when you create a checklist of these kind of tasks, you don't have to carry them around in your head. Your brain was not made to carry long lists of things. So writing it all down will help you deliver a repeatably awesome process. Next, you can then step back and go, Well, which emails do I send all the time using pretty much exactly the same wording? And you put those emails in a document for your email templates. Again, something else you don't have to think about while you're working. Then finally, you can take a step back and go, right, how can I make this fun? How can I make this exciting? How can I make sure my client knows that they're in good hands? And the last thing I want to talk about as I wrap up is the Power of Moments. And this is actually a book. I'm going to try and get it. Hang on. It's on my bookshelf and I love it. Aha, it's right here. All right, I really should have all this kind of stuff organized. But this is a book called The Power of Moments by Chip Heath and Dan Heath. And I love this book because it's all about the power of moments. But the point of it is that there are some really pivotal moments in every process. And so now we're talking about your project flow as a copywriter. There is when it begins. That's when people are super excited, super nervous. There's lots of feelings. So that's why we're talking about the onboarding experience. There is when things end. You want to make sure that when a project ends, there is as much like popping and celebration as in the beginning. That is how you get a good testimonial as well. You start strong and you finish strong, but there's also in the middle. You want to make sure that your client doesn't fall flat in the middle. And that is when those mini project updates become really, really important. So just to recap on what they are, when you hand copy over, have a little section at the bottom of your email going, we've done this, strike through. This is where we're at, version 1, done, and here's what's coming up. And so what that means is the client knows that you're always working for them and they have a clear sense of where in the project flow they are. This is all about empowering them with information, making sure that they never have to ask, what the hell is going on? Is she still writing my copy? Did I have to hand something over? That's the kind of anxiety that will lead a client to feel dissatisfied with your service and your copy. But it's not about the copy. It's about the experience you're creating. And it's just admin, but you can make the admin fun and useful so your projects have a smooth flow, they feel easy, and the experience of working with you is absolutely unforgettable. Hey, Sarah and Lee's jumped in. Thank you, Lee. It's called The Power of Moments by Chip Heath and Dan Heath. And why certain experiences have extraordinary impact. And if you have that book, I've really enjoyed it, but it has helped me realize how to infuse more into small moments. Okay. And just remember, your copy can be absolutely amazing, but if you are a complete, find another word, horror to work with, where your client doesn't know what's going on, when and how, it kind of doesn't matter if the copy's awesome. They will not be coming back to you and they will not be telling all their friends. What you want is your clients, I'm going to say it again, to know exactly what's going to happen and when. Your clients need to know how long things will take them to complete, like those questionnaire forms, and how long things will take you to complete, like the first draft. Empower them with information so they have a clear vision of the roadmap of the project. And that's when you can also infuse extra delight and excitement so your client feels like they are your favorite and best and only client. Oh, you are welcome, Sarah. I'm just going to put that up there. All right. So that was a lot. Like I wrote down all my notes today and I've been through them. If you have any questions, do let me know. But your actions for today are document your process, every single step. Create some email templates of the emails that you send regularly. Reduce the amount of stuff that you have to remember, and then take a step back and look at how you welcome people onto the project. Do they know everything they need to know? And is there sparks of joy and delight in the process? Because that is really the secret of having an unforgettable experience through all the admin that is really heavy at the start of your copywriting project. All right, I am just going to quickly check to see if there's any other questions. I want to thank you all for joining me today. And if you are watching the replay, drop hashtag replay. I'd love to know what you are going to implement from the fire hose of information I just gave you. What are you going to change? What are you going to take action on? What are you going to focus? Drop it in the comments because I want to know. And for the confident copywriters who are tuning in, we are going to do an even deeper dive on this, but go and check out that project checklist and the email templates. All right, enjoy your day, everyone, and I'll see you back here next time.